All right, so today we are digging into something I know a lot of people think about. Building a real, rewarding career teaching English, but doing it unconventionally. We're going to look at how you can succeed, even if you don't take that so-called normal path.
Okay, let's just get right to it with a question. Do you love teaching English? I mean, are you passionate about it, but maybe you feel stuck? Like you're being held back because you don't have that one specific piece of paper, a formal degree in education? Yeah? If that's you, then you're in exactly the right place. Stick around.
Well, the answer to that question, it's a huge yes. You absolutely can build an amazing career. But, and this is the big but, the path to get there, it probably looks a lot different than you think. It's not so much about those traditional qualifications. It's really about strategy, about building your credibility and having the right skills for today's world. So let's get into it.
Okay, so to really show you how this works in the real world, we're going to follow a case study. We'll look at the journey of someone who actually did this, who carved out their own successful path.
So let's meet our guide for this explainer. Their story probably sounds familiar. They started out with a ton of passion for teaching English, but you guessed it, no formal degree. They worked in private language schools, did some freelancing, but kept hitting a wall when it came to the formal system. So what did they do? They built a whole new foundation for their career. And the key, really, was a mix of two things. Getting practical certifications, like TESOL and TEFL, and just being relentless about networking and professional development. That was the ticket. That's how they got in the door.
But where does a path like this even exist, right? To really get it, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture of the education landscape. That's where we'll find the opportunity.
It's really a tale of two systems. Think about it. On one hand, you've got the formal education system, your typical schools and universities. It's often mandatory, sometimes a little rigid, maybe even uses some outdated methods, and it's all about theory, grammar rules, and passing standardized tests. But then there's this whole other world, the non-formal sector. We're talking private language centers, tutoring, online platforms, and what's so cool about this side is the focus. It is laser-focused on practical, real-world skills. Things like conversation, business English, or prepping for a specific exam like the IELTS. It's all about what people actually need to use in their lives.
And this non-formal sector, it's where the action is. It's absolutely booming. These private language schools are popping up everywhere because the demand for practical English is just massive. They're teaching everyone, from kids to corporate executives. But here, and this is the part you really need to hear, look at how they hire. They care a lot about your actual language proficiency. A high score on a test like the TOEFL or IELTS can mean more to them than a traditional teaching degree. Seriously, the bottom line for them is, can you speak English fluently, and more importantly, can you effectively teach someone else to do it too?
Okay, but let's not paint a perfect picture here. This path is not all sunshine and roses. It comes with its own major set of hurdles. So let's get real for a minute and talk about the challenges you're definitely going to face. This is kind of the ordeal part of the journey that every teacher on this path has to get through.
So what does that look like in the classroom? Well, it's like a ripple effect of problems. For starters, you'll often have a classroom with a huge mix of skill levels. You've got near beginners sitting right next to almost fluent speakers. How do you teach that? Then there's the motivation issue. It's a constant battle to keep everyone engaged in learning. And on top of all that, especially for non-native English speakers, you have to deal with this thing called native speakerism, this frustrating bias where some schools or students just assume a native speaker is a better teacher, even if it's not true. It's a tough gig for sure, and you absolutely need a strategy to deal with it all.
So, how do you get past all those challenges and actually build a career? Well, this is where we get to the good stuff, the reward. We're talking about a clear, step-by-step blueprint for success, something you can actually use.
And it all boils down to these three pillars. I want you to think of them like the three legs of a stool. If one is missing, the whole thing falls over. You need all three for a stable career. So, what are they? Pillar 1, build your credibility. Pillar 2, make sure you're financially sustainable. And Pillar 3, commit to growing professionally, always. All right, let's break each one down.
First up, pillar number 1, building credibility. Look, since you might not have that formal degree to lean on, you have to build your authority in other ways. This is how you do it. Get a sharp, professional online presence going. Think LinkedIn, maybe some social media. Start sharing what you know. Write some articles, create teaching materials, maybe even put together a little mini course. You also got to get active in those professional communities, like TESOL or TEFL groups. And here's a big one, specialize. Don't just be a general English teacher. Be the IELTS prep person or the expert in business English. That's how you stand out.
Okay, on to pillar number 2, financial sustainability. This is where the rubber meets the road. You've got to make a choice.
Are you the kind of person who wants the stability of a regular paycheck from a language school? Or do you want the freedom, flexibility, and maybe even higher pay that comes with freelancing? There's no wrong answer here, but you have to be honest with yourself and choose the path that fits your life.
And finally, pillar number 3, which might just be the most important one of all, professional growth. The key takeaway here? Your learning journey never, ever stops. You have to be actively looking for what's next. Take those continuous professional development courses. We call them CPDs. Go to conferences and workshops, whether they're online or in person. And you have to keep an eye on the future. That means exploring online teaching and what's happening in EdTech. This is how you stay ahead of the curve and keep yourself valuable. So, if you actually do this, if you build your career on these 3 pillars, what does your future look like? Well, we're not just talking about surviving anymore. We're talking about thriving. We're talking about innovation and becoming a real leader in your field.
And what does that innovation look like in the real world? This is so cool. Remember our guide from the case study? Well, they didn't just stop at being a great teacher. They went all in on technology and actually built their own personal AI agent. It's a custom chatbot designed to help students with academic and business English. I mean, how incredible is that? That is what professional growth looks like today. It's about grabbing these new tools and using them to create amazing learning experiences we couldn't even have imagined a few years ago.
So here's the bottom line. The traditional path, it's not the only way anymore. Not by a long shot. The entire world of English teaching is changing. It's evolving fast, thanks to technology and this huge, growing demand for real, practical skills. The blueprint is here. The strategies, the tools, they're all available for you to build a career that is credible, sustainable, and truly innovative. So I guess the only question left for you is, what will your story be?